So good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. I hope you're going really, really well. I'm Jeremy from Property Inspection Manager, and in today's session, I really want to focus on the good bits of the integration between Cirrus8 and Property Inspection Manager. Just as for those that haven't met me before or had much exposure to Property Inspection Manager, we are a team of software professionals called Systemic, based over in Western Australia. We have been developing this app now for over 11 years, and we do all sorts of stuff. But the reason that we got into inspections was that some of the members of our business were self-managing their own assets and weren't doing a particularly good job of it. And the reason that they weren't doing a particularly good job of it is only known to them. However, we saw an opportunity to combine two things. One of those things was a Word template creation engine that we were building for the Department of Education at the time. And the other thing was linking that into the iPad from Apple. Now, in terms of where we've got to since then, things have moved on quite tremendously. Initially, we were very much focused on residential inspections, but increasingly we were finding that our clients had either mixed portfolios with some commercial assets and some residential assets. And then particularly over the last few years, what I've seen are more and more commercial asset focused, either landlords or property management businesses looking to professionalize increasingly their inspection workflows, to do more frequent visits and to manage that whole process better. So where we sit today is we started talking to and working with Cirrus8 probably about 4 years ago now. Because they wanted to focus on their property management system, their accounting workflows and everything else, and they didn't want to build an inspection app. And we're still working together in that way. So our focus is very, very clearly around Cirrus8 is the central source of truth. Property Inspection Manager exchanges data with Cirrus8 to be able to provide you with a flexible and good workflow to be able to capture information on the condition of a property or the condition of an asset or whatever it may be when you're out in the field, and then push that back into Cirrus8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out of this screen here. So I'm just going to end the show here for a second. I'm going to change my screen over to today's first place, which is Cirrus8 itself. So what I won't do today is go into a huge sort of training session. I want to show you a few things that have improved the way the systems actually operate together and where the flexibility is. If you want further information, we've got very comprehensive help guides that are available to you. I'm waffling that one around. That is printed on paper, but we can obviously send it out to you as a link. Send us a request, send us any questions through the links or through the chat, and we can get that information through to you. The other thing with sessions like this, and one of the great things about the working relationship that we've got with Cirrus8 is that we are very much focused on you're good at doing your bit, we're good at doing our bit, and together we can make property management for those that are focused on managing commercial assets better. But the main thing I would say to you is whatever we do has to be relevant to you. At the end of the day, nobody is going to replace you as somebody who's responsible for managing that asset. You are the most important person. So my big thing to you is this isn't a one-way thing. Technology shouldn't dictate the way that you work. Technology should help you improve the way that you work today. So if you see things that may be missing, if you see things that are wanting, if you've got a new idea, let us know. Because between the two of us, we've got some really, really clever people that can turn ideas into working software. Now, about 3 months ago, I did a Cirrus8 and PIM webinar like this. Even since then, things have improved and moved on a bit. So where I wanted to start off in today's session is with our focus on Cirrus8 is the central source of truth. What we mean by that is that's where you start off. You start off by scheduling inspections in Cirrus8, and you can now do that on both the lease and on the property. So historically, you could only schedule an inspection against a lease. So if the property was leased, you were okay. We did come up with some workarounds, but now this is a lot simpler. So what you can do is, if you look at your screen or if you go back to Cirrus8 later on, You go to properties, you go into leases. I've just gone into my properties one today, just because we've got a lovely picture of a dog in here, just to lighten the screen a little bit. But I've gone into a property, I've searched on a property down on Hart Street here, or Hart Shopping Centre. And if I scroll down the screen, you'll be able to see, when I get down to it, that there is a section in here for, and this is where I'm getting eyesight things. I've got my calendar, whereas where I've got my events, and I've got my property inspections, okay? So in this screen, I can actually schedule my property inspections. So I've got an entry in there, which is for today. Now, the important thing to note here is that you can schedule a date, you can schedule a frequency. And that means that for some of our clients now, they're saying to us, well, Jez, we actually do a monthly visit to a property, or we do a 6-monthly visit, or we do an annual visit. This can all be set up and scheduled within Cirrus8. The important thing is you can select a date. So if you want to do an ad hoc one-off, you can do, or if you want to schedule more frequent visits, you can do as well. Just ignore this type for a second, because we're going to do stuff with that later on beyond this webinar. But the important thing is that within Cirrus8, you can also schedule an inspection against a template. And that template is what we call in PIM our smart property profile. So you can actually schedule within Cirrus8 a certain type of profile that you will create that inspection against. So what I've got in here is I've got a number of different property types. So that could be a large office, it could be an industrial workshop. These are the ones that we have set up as a standard, but you can customize all these. The reason why it's important is that everybody that I chat to in this space tends to have a skew towards the type of properties that they manage. Sometimes if it's a landlord, it'll all be industrial units and offices. Sometimes it could be a very diverse portfolio, like I find in some of the cities, where you might be dealing with a childcare centre 1 minute, or a swimming pool the next, or a petrol forecourt the next. It could be whatever is appropriate to you. But you have the flexibility between PIM and Cirrus8 to develop these different property profiles that suit your portfolio. The other thing that you can do is you can create smart profiles for different types of inspections. So what I've got in here is a common area report. So it may be that you actually conduct in one of your properties a monthly or 3-monthly inspection on common areas, and other times you'll do a lease related inspection against the type of asset within there. So you do have that flexibility. So I won't go into all of the details beyond this, because I've actually just set this one up in here. But what I'm saying is now from Cirrus8, you can set up and schedule a inspection, and that scheduled inspection can be of a certain type, which matches a property profile. Okay, I'm going to come out of here for a second, and I'm now going to go into PIM. So this is where I just need somebody to react in a second. When I change my screen mirroring and I bring my iPad up on screen. So fingers crossed, my screen will change in a second. There it is. I can see it at my end. Hopefully you can see it at your end. And I'm now going to go into PIM. Okay, so I've scheduled my inspections in Cirrus8. In PIM, what I can do now is I can make sure that I've got my link set up. So if I go into settings, I go into my advanced setup, I have the option in here to enable Cirrus8. If you haven't done this already, you will have to get in touch with support, because we facilitate this and we make it happen, because we need to request a few things. But essentially, once I'm set up, I can talk, or we can talk between the two systems, and we can choose to import into the device, which could be your iPhone or it could be your iPad, scheduled inspections that are scheduled in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or 120 days. The choice is yours. I've just put 30 days in here today just to keep the amount of data coming through manageable. The other thing that I want to show you is in my PIM admin, I've got set up in here as part of my customization. I can change my shorthand words and phrases, which are my commonly used terms. I can set those up so it includes things that I say frequently. I've got my inspection areas. And those inspection areas may be an actual room, or it could be a list of things that you look at. And the reason that I mention that is I've got stuff down here like fire services. And fire services, I can create a list of things underneath here that I would look at, whether it be fire extinguishers, certification. It just means that for you and the way that you work, you can set up a system that allows you to focus on what you want to look at and the things that you want to check off when you're at an inspection or on site. So I can change all these things, and then I've got my smart property profiles. What I was saying to you before is, as long as we've got the smart property profile in Cirrus8 matching what we have in PIM, when I set up a new inspection in PIM, it will import it with the details of the property and the tenant, if it's a property or a tenant related report, and it will put it against a profile. And that profile, you can choose the areas that go against it. So in this common area one, I've literally got a list of, I'm going to look at the things that are common to this property, and then I'm going to have some special things that complete my report. And that is, so what do I need to fork out for? What are the maintenance items? What are the suggested improvements? Is there anything else that I should be aware of? I can also choose in there, if I want to include a tenant summary where I could do, or I could send information just to a tenant. This will become a little bit more apparent in a second when I go through things, but we've got these different profiles in here, but you can customize these to whatever your rent roll is like. So talk to us in support and we can help you with that. In the process of setting up PIM, a little bit of thinking before you commence is a good thing. If you break down your rent roll and say, right, these are the types of properties roughly that we've got, these are the groups, we can then help you set it up so that you mirror what's in Cirrus8 with what's in Property Inspection Manager. So once I've got that set up, what I can then do is I can go into my import screen or import screen, I can refresh, and that will bring into my device all those scheduled inspections. Now, before I bring these into my inspection area, we'll have a quick look in here. You'll see that I've got address details. I've got some profile details in here. So what that profile is, when this inspection has been scheduled, it's been scheduled against tenancy. And it said, this tenancy has the profile of a medium office. So when that comes into PIM, it will have the areas associated with a medium-sized office. This one here is set up against a property itself. There is no tenant associated with this, as you can see, because it's got null in there at the moment, but it is a common area report. So I'm able to bring both into PIM. Those inspections that I will focus on the tenancy and how they're looking after the property, and one where I'm looking at the property and what I need to check as I go around and make sure that everything's okay. With PIM, the first time a property or a tenant-related inspection is brought into the system, it will have a green bar beside it. That green bar beside it means it hasn't been done on this device before. If it has, it will have an orange bar. And that orange bar means it will perform a repeat inspection. So any customization, any notes that were there from the previous inspection will be reused to save you time and effort. What I'm going to do in here is I'm just going to bring a couple of properties in for me to inspect. So I'm just going to bring in this one here. So I'm going to touch it. I'm going to bring this one in as well. You can choose to bring all in, or you can select the ones that you want to bring in ready for inspection. So I'm just going to import those selected ones, bring them into the system. And now in here, I should have 2 inspections. Now, the great thing with Cirrus8 is that you can bring an inspection into, you can import it into PIM, and you will have a date for that inspection. But you could actually do it the day before or the day after or a couple of days after. It's there, it's scheduled, but it won't stop the report going back up into Cirrus8 if you don't do it at exactly that time. So that's actually quite handy, just in case things change a little bit. Just makes it more flexible. This property that I'm doing the inspection on here is actually on the property. So all this is bringing across for me is the details of the property. It's going to bring in the rooms associated with a common area report and the areas associated with that common area report. and it's bringing the owner details across. Now, if you've got phone numbers as well, that will come across too. They don't go into the inspection, but what it means is if you're on your phone and you need to get in touch with the owner, you could just press the phone number and it will dial straight out. From here, if I want to send something directly to Kirsty and Steve in this instance, I've got their email addresses and I can send them a quick picture, or I can send them a quick text, or whatever makes sense from here. It's just trying to reduce the hunting around to get hold of things. It helps to keep important information together. What I don't have in this one are all the tenancy details, and that's because this property inspection is exactly that. It's just based on the property. If I come back out of here a second and just go into the one that's set up against the tenancy, you'll see it's brought across the owner details, and it's also brought across the tenancy details as well. So that's the name of the tenants, the contact names, email addresses. It puts in the square meterage associated with that lease, puts in the yearly rental amount, start dates, etc. So it's different information that's brought into the inspection. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just show you a few things within the app itself when you're taking down your notes and taking photos, and how that pushes back up into Cirrus8. So my information's come across from Cirrus8. I'm ready to tap to start my inspection. Up comes the list of things that I need to look at while I'm on site. Now, this is a common area report, and you'll see it's set up to say, have a look at the outside of the building, have a look at the entry, check out all the paths and the entrance points, access points around the place, the reception. So you've got in here a list of areas that are relevant for a common area report. With PIM, when you're on site, if any of these are not applicable, you can get rid of them. So you can go to Edit in the top right-hand corner. You can select an area. I'm just going to get rid of the other areas, and there is no plant room in here, and I can delete them. The other thing I can do is I can change the order of these around. So for whatever reason, if you want to move this toilet closer to the entry, you can do. If I want to move the reception area up to here as well, I can do. Plus, if I press that little plus button in the top right-hand corner, I can add any area that I want to. So in this instance, I'm going to add a mezzanine. Done. That's come into my list. It's at the bottom, and I can move that mezzanine up to wherever it wants to go to. So what this means is you've got quicker ways of getting things set up. You can tweak them when you're on site. Once you've done it once, it is held in the system for future reference. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into an area. This is my exterior building. You'll see on my data collection screen that I've got a number of different areas where I can add notes, add additional notes, and do some other stuff. I've also got this list of sub-inspection areas. So if I press the sub-inspection areas, that shows me all the detail of that area that I should be looking at. Now, depending on how deeply you want to go, you can conduct an inspection and look at every single one of these sub-inspection areas, which is very time consuming, but you might want to do that when somebody's moving in for a property condition report or when they're moving out, but you do have a choice. So you can either do it at a room level, or you can do it at a room level plus all of the sub-inspection area levels. The choice is yours. The other thing is you do have access to that. Even if you want to just do your report at the room or area level, you have access to what you should be looking at as a checklist as well. So you've got flexibility both ways. I'm just going to do this one at a room level for now. So I've got my quick check labels. We do default these to clean and damage, working and maintenance. We have 4 and we have up to 4 either ors. So you can actually choose to change the labels of these if you want to. And that can be done in the back of PIM. So if you wanted to make it satisfactory, tenant action, maintenance, if you want to use 1, 2, or 3, or 4, the choice is yours. Again, talk to us about that. But you can just tick them, you can double click, and that will obviously change it to a red cross. And then from there, when it appears in the report, if it's got a red cross, obviously for somebody that's reading it, you go, hang on a sec, there's a problem in there. I then can take some notes. If you take some notes in PIM, the notes will go into the inspection report. I know that sounds really obvious, but there are two boxes here, one that says notes and one that says additional notes. The additional notes is underneath. The notes goes into the report. The additional notes can be pulled out for your eyes only or to go somewhere else. Just remember that for future reference. Taking notes, obviously, you can key in, which is great for some people. You can also press, if you look down at your keyboard and you've got, these days, with the latest versions of Apple devices and iOS 15, you've got Siri inbuilt into the device, so you don't have to access the internet to get your voice changed to text, but you can just press that microphone and you can capture your notes while you're conducting your inspection and have them converted from voice to text. Now, I'm just going to waffle for a second here because you've got to be careful because it doesn't always capture your words accurately. But it's a really, really efficient, effective way of collecting free-form notes as long as you check it. Now, I have done some daft things before and it's picked up some swear words, but it's great. It's not great if you've got a tenant behind you or it's a noisy area. However, sometimes what I do is add a couple of notes while I'm in the building, and then I'll sit in the car and I'll finish it off in the car. It's an option for you. So you've got voice to text in there. The other thing that I don't know if you can see me here, but I've actually got my Apple Pencil and I can use my Apple Pencil to add notes. So you set up Apple Pencil. I'm going to touch on that. Penal. I'm going to go pencil. There you go. It's worked this time. So the Apple Pencil is getting better. My writing is like a doctor's handwriting. It's fairly scroll-like, let's put it that way. But it's quite a useful tool to have when you're on site, particularly if you're using an iPad. You can just use it for capturing notes. You can use it for ticking things, crossing things, but also I'll show you in a second when you're annotating a diagram. It's really, really useful to draw on that diagram. So I've got my notes. I can capture using the keypad. I can capture using voice to text. I can capture using my pencil. The other thing that I can do is you'll see that above the keyboard, there are little circles and crosses. And next to the areas, the little circles and crosses. What that does, when you press them, it comes up with a library of commonly used terms. So you can actually build up within PIM a library of phrases that you just drop in to an inspection. Which can be a really efficient way of doing things. Not that you want to produce a cookie cutter type report, but sometimes you will say, for the garden or for the exterior of the property, there'll be things like, lawns weeded, flower beds weeded, edged, mowed, all rubbish removed, no problems to report. You don't want to be typing that every time. You don't want to be thinking every time about a different way of saying the same thing. So you can add that into PIM. And I won't do it in today's session, but we can send you instructions for that if you want to use it. You can also put in an abbreviation for that property, and I can press the space bar down here and touch, it appears above. I can then drop it in. So there's a number of ways of bringing up those shorthand words and phrases. Anything that I put into additional notes, I can consolidate into a list of things that I can send to a colleague. It's for my eyes only, or I can just put some notes in here that I can refer to the next time I do an inspection. For example, there's a crack in the wall. When I come back in 3 months' time, check to see if it's got any larger, that sort of thing. The next thing I want to show you is taking a picture. So you can take a photo in PIM either by pressing the camera icon, which is to the right of this box, or press the photo bar. Up comes your camera, and with PIM, there are a couple of things in here. You'll see that's the button on the right-hand side. There we go. For taking photos, it's got photo and it's got multi. If you press multi, you can take a lot of pictures quite quickly. So it's ideal if you just want to scan an area. And then you can press done, and you'll see in this list down here, I've now got 4 photos in that bar. If I press on the photos, I can look at those pictures and I can press edit and I can get rid of anything that I want to get rid of. 1 photo selected. I can delete that photo. Now, what you may also have seen there, though, which is quite interesting, is I can choose one photo, I can touch it, and you'll see in here that I've actually got in the top right-hand corner an edit button. If I press edit, it allows me to annotate this diagram. And I can choose colors, I can choose the width of the bar, and I've got a number of tools that I can use to mark up this photo. So I'm just going to use the rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw this on here. I'm going to put in a text box. In that text box, I'm now going to key in marks on wall. That's done. And then I can take that mark on wall and I can move it to wherever makes sense. So I can actually mark up this photo just to reinforce why it's been taken. Press done. So that annotation is then saved with the photo. What I can also do, though, is I can press edit and I can select that picture and any of the photos that want to go with it. I can press this green bar down here and it says, do you want to send a work request to Cirrus8 with those photos? And if I press that, it brings up this screen. This screen says, while you're inspecting the exterior of the building, and I can put something in here, there are a lot of marks on the wall. This wall requires repainting urgently. In terms of urgency, I can tap a priority. I can put high in there. I can put some contact names, etc. in there if I want to. You'll see it's got a property code. So that's how it links back into the Cirrus system. And when I press done, that will then push that work request. And you can see it's just said Cirrus8 work request uploaded. That gets pushed back into Cirrus FM. So that will go into the list of work requests in Cirrus FM for a colleague or myself to review later on. And then I can push it into the next stage of the workflow. So as well as being on site and producing your report, you can also create work requests that can be pushed back into Cirrus FM. Okay, so it's quite a handy tool. So I'm just going back into here. I'm going to just look at a couple more areas. So I'm just going to go to the front page of my report. I'm going to put a summary in here. Okay, press the space bar, a lovely inspection, no problems to report. I'm going to put that maintenance required in. I'm going to put fence in there, press the space bar. It's okay. I'm going to add another photo to this as well. So I'm going into my camera area. One thing that I may not have shown you before, for which I apologize, is there's a little icon up here, and that icon allows me to access my camera roll. So I can go into my camera roll and I can choose to add some pictures from my camera roll. So if you want to just go out to a property, drop in, take a few photos and produce a report, and then add them into your inspection, you can do. And then the same functionality is available to me in here. I can click on a photo, I can go into here, I can mark it up if I want to. That was last night down at Fremantle South Beach. I'm going to choose on here to use this as a cover photo. So it'll go on the front page of my report. Now, you can choose a feature shot to go onto the front page of your report. You can have your template amended and created to have a cover page where you can have a big picture, which may be very appropriate on at the time of doing an ingoing inspection. So you've got that feature pick. The choice is yours. Again, we've got different templates. We can create templates that suit the way that you want to structure your report in terms of the flow and also how you present that information. But I'm just choosing with this image to put it on the front page of my report for now. I can also add some notes to this picture, which hang with the picture after taking the picture as well. So I can just go into here and say, the outside of the property, particularly this lovely mural, is well worth the money. And that will go with the picture. Okay, so that's done. Actually just do that. put a note in there and sort it out. Okay. Right, coming back to my home page, my inspection areas. I've gone through my report. I've captured the information that I want to. If I break these down, or I decompress the areas, you'll see I've got the notes appearing on those blue bars, so I can see what's been done and what hasn't been done. I go back to the home page, and then in the home page, I've got my action button in the top right-hand corner. If I press that button, I can then preview my inspection, and that will show me what it's going to look like. And at this stage, I can look at the inspection report. I can see, hang on a sec. Yep, I've got maintenance required. I've got my suggested improvements. I haven't got my picture on the front page. I'm going to go and get that sorted out again. It obviously hasn't accepted my request. So I'm going to go back and do that. I've got the table of my areas that I've been looking at. I've got my quick checks with the yeses and nos, highlighting areas of any issue. I've got the inspection notes that go beside it, so anything that I've captured in there. And then I've got the pictures that will appear behind. So you can see in here, I've got that photo that's got the marks on the wall highlighted. I've got the area in which that picture was taken, got the maintenance required in there. Okay, that's good. Done. I'm just going to go back into here. I'm just going to take one more photo. Let's do that. Okay. Click. I'm going to use as a cover photo. Press use photo. Done. And then the final thing I want to do in here is I want to add a signature. So I can actually write on here, Jeremy PIMS, confirm. Now I'm going to submit my inspection back to Cirrus8. So that should now just roll through. And you'll see underneath here, Cirrus8 report uploaded. Okay, so that's gone back into Cirrus8. So this is I'll view it later. You can always, if you look at this little filing cabinet in the top right-hand corner, see the reports that have been generated against this inspection. So if I click on here and press view report, it should show in here now my inspection report, which has got my signature in there as well, which has been incorporated. And it's got my pictures appearing behind. Done. Okay, I'm just going back into here for a second. The other thing I can do is I can go into submit a cleaning and maintenance report. And that cleaning and maintenance report is essentially just consolidating all of those additional notes areas. Now, with the relationship between PIM and Cirrus8, that report does not go back into Cirrus8. It gets emailed back to your email address, so you can do whatever you need from there. And if I open that up, you can see it's just got my additional notes, and that would bring through the additional notes for each of the areas, okay, that I've put additional notes into. Right, I'm going to come out of here now. So I'm going to escape from here, stop the screen share, stop the mirroring. I'm going to go back into Cirrus. Okay, I'm just going to go to that property again. So I've gone into properties. I'm going into 590 Hart. I've been kicked out, or am I in? There we go. There's my Hart Shopping Centre. I'm going back into here. I'm going to go down to my inspections, which is towards the bottom, as you saw before. Okay, so property inspections. Here's the one that I've done just now. It's completed by me. I can download that report. And that should be the report that I've just done in PIM. So there's the picture that I've got as the feature shot on the outside. I've got my report with the maintenance required, suggested improvements in our summary. I've got my table of rooms, got my autograph in there. or signature, and I've got the photos coming behind. And if I come out of this screen, which I'm just going to move this here a second. If I come out of here and I go up to the top, I should be able to go into Cirrus FM. And in Cirrus FM, if it's loading up according to how it should do, I've got a leaking tap in there. Let's just refresh that screen again. Doesn't look like it's come through yet. However, that maintenance request should go into a list like this, where you've got the information around the urgency of the task, the work request, and then you can take it through to the next stage of process for you. So you've got both things. You've got your report, you've got your work request going through. That could be because I've actually got signed in under my name as opposed to somebody else. So that's probably a user error, for which I apologize. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to do to give you that overview of how the system's working. What I'm just going to do now is go back into another screen. And if you've got any further questions or you want any further information around PIM and any other ideas or anything like that, just if you could send those through to, I'm just going to go back into this screen a second, the following. So I'm just going to go slideshow, play from current slide. So any questions about this, or if you want further information, get in touch with support@propertyinspectionmanager.com. I'm going to leave this link open for the next 2 or 3 minutes, or whatever it is, if you want to send some chat through. The other thing is, if you do want to have a chat with me about a more general, so how would I do this? This is my circumstance, that's my mobile number down there. So 0418 905 809. More than happy to have a chat with anybody. Yes, I'm based over in Western Australia, so please bear that in mind, but I tend to be up and around and answering the phone from 7 AM onwards. One of the things that I'm finding on this journey, and I've been involved for about 8 years now, is that we've got such a wide variety of users that if you've got a question or a circumstance, it's great to be able to bring together some of that learning from other companies. So thank you ever so much for being with me today on this. Thanks for watching. If you've got any feedback, any questions, please get in touch. In the meantime, look after yourselves, stay well and stay happy. Thanks very much indeed. Cheers.
Thank you.